The sun was setting, casting an orange glow over the hill where I stood, lost in thought. My phone vibrated in my pocket, jolting me back to reality. It was John. "Mark, we need to talk, now." John had never sounded so urgent before. He was my best friend, someone I trusted with my life. I hopped into my car and drove to our favorite bar, a cozy, dimly lit place where we had shared countless memories. When I arrived, John was already there, nursing a whiskey. He looked up as I approached, his face pale and eyes filled with an intensity I'd never seen. "What's going on, John? You look like you've seen a ghost," I said, trying to lighten the mood. He took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he set down his glass. "Mark, there's no easy way to say this, but I have to tell you the truth. I've been sleeping with Elizabeth for the past 5 years." The words hit me like a freight train. My heart pounded in my chest, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. "You're joking, right? This is some kind of sick joke?" I stammered, unable to process what I'd just heard. John shook his head, his eyes filled with regret. "I wish it were a joke, Mark. It started at one of your parties. We were both drunk, and one thing led to another. We tried to stop, but it just kept happening." As he spoke, memories flooded my mind. Elizabeth's late returns from work, the sudden business trips, and the inexplicable distance that had grown between us. I had dismissed them as stress, as normal bumps in a long marriage. Now I realized how blind I had been. I couldn't sit still any longer. "I need to go," I muttered, standing up abruptly. John reached out, but I pulled away. "Don't touch me. I need to talk to Elizabeth." The drive home was a blur. I could barely keep my hand steady on the wheel, my mind racing with thoughts of betrayal and anger. How could she do this to me? To us? When I walked into our house, Elizabeth was sitting on the couch reading a book. She looked up and smiled, but her smile faded when she saw my expression. "Mark, what's wrong?" "We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. "Now." She set the book down, her face growing serious. "What is it?" I took a deep breath, feeling my heart shatter as I said the words. "John told me everything, about the affair, about the last 5 years." Her eyes widened in shock, and for a moment she said nothing. Then she buried her face in her hands. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mark. I'm so sorry." I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. "Why, Elizabeth? Why would you do this to me?" Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to find the words. "I felt so alone, Mark. You were always busy with work, always distracted. And John, he was there. He listened. It just happened. I wanted to scream, to throw things, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain I was feeling. But instead, I just stood there numb. "I need time to think," I said finally. "I can't deal with this right now." I walked out of the house, the weight of her betrayal crushing me. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The hours that followed my departure from the house were a blur. I drove aimlessly through the city, trying to escape the suffocating weight of Elizabeth's betrayal. Eventually, I found myself parked by the waterfront, the rhythmic lapping of waves against the shore providing a reprieve from the chaos in my mind. When I finally returned home, it was well past midnight. The house was eerily silent, and I half expected Elizabeth to be waiting up for me. Instead, I found her curled up on the couch, fast asleep. The sight of her, so peaceful and unaware, ignited a fresh wave of anger in me. How could she sleep so easily after what she had done? I stood over her for a moment, my emotions warring within me. Part of me wanted to wake her up, to demand answers, to make her feel the hurt she had inflicted on me. But another part of me, a smaller, quieter part, just felt tired, exhausted by the weight of it all. In the end, I let her sleep. I retreated to the guest room, seeking solace in the solitude. But sleep eluded me. My mind kept replaying John's confession, Elizabeth's tearful apologies, and every moment of our life together that now felt tainted by lies. The next morning, I woke to the sound of Elizabeth moving around the kitchen. The smell of coffee filled the air, a familiar comfort that now felt foreign. I knew I couldn't avoid the confrontation any longer. It was time to face the truth head on. I found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly into her coffee cup. She looked up as I entered, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "Mark," she began, but I held up a hand to stop her. We need to talk, I said, my voice cold and distant. No more lies, no more excuses. I want the truth, Elizabeth. All of it. She nodded, her hands trembling as she set her cup down. I understand. Ask me anything and I'll tell you. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the answers I dreaded. How did it start? She sighed, closing her eyes as if the memory pained her. It was about 5 years ago, at one of our parties. You were busy with work and I felt lonely. John was there, and he was going through a tough time with his divorce. We were both vulnerable, and one night we had too much to drink. We made a terrible mistake. I clenched my fists under the table, trying to keep my emotions in check. And after that, why did it continue? Tears welled up in her eyes again. I don't know. It wasn't supposed to. We tried to stop, but every time we saw each other, it was like this magnetic pull. We couldn't resist. I know it's not an excuse, but it's the truth. I felt a bitter laugh escape my lips. The truth! That's rich coming from you now. She flinched at my words, but didn't try to defend herself. I deserve that, she whispered. But Mark, I never stopped loving you. It was never about replacing you. It was… I don't know what it was. A distraction? A way to feel something different? I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and sorrow. Do you have any idea how much this hurts? How much you've destroyed? She reached out, but I pulled away. I know, and I'm so sorry, Mark. I'm willing to do anything to make this right. If you want a divorce, I understand. But if there's any part of you that thinks we can work through this, I'll fight for us, for our marriage. I stood up, unable to sit still any longer. I don't know what I want right now. I need time to process this, to figure out if I can ever trust you again. Elizabeth nodded, tears streaming down her face. Take all the time you need. I'll be here, waiting, hoping that we can find a way to heal. I walked out of the kitchen, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. The future was uncertain, and I knew the road ahead would be long and painful. But one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same again. The days that followed were a haze of conflicting emotions. I went through the motions of life, but everything felt muted, as if the world had lost its color. I couldn't stop thinking about Elizabeth's betrayal, about the years of deception and lies. One evening I found myself sitting alone in our bedroom, staring at an old photo album. The images of happier times stared back at me, mocking my current misery. I flipped through the pages, remembering the joy and love we once shared. It was hard to reconcile those memories with the reality of her infidelity. I decided to reach out to my brother Matt. He had always been my rock, someone I could count on for honest advice. I called him and he picked up on the second ring. Hey Mark, what's up? Matt, I need to talk, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. It's about Elizabeth. There was a pause on the other end and I could almost hear him bracing himself. All right, tell me what's going on. I recounted everything: John's confession, Elizabeth's tearful apology, my turmoil. Matt listened patiently, not interrupting until I had finished. Jesus, Mark, he finally said. That's a lot to process. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't know what to do, Matt. I feel so lost. Have you talked to anyone else about this? A therapist, maybe? I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. No, not yet. I don't even know where to start. Matt sighed. Look, I can't tell you what to do, but I think talking to a professional could help. You need to sort through your feelings and figure out what you want. Whether that's trying to save your marriage or moving on, you need to take care of yourself first. His words made sense, and I promised him I'd think about it. After we hung up, I felt a bit lighter, as if sharing my burden had eased the weight on my shoulders just a little. The next day, I decided to take Matt's advice and reached out to a therapist. I found someone highly recommended and scheduled an appointment for later in the week. It was a small step, but it felt like progress. When the day of the appointment arrived, I walked into the therapist's office, feeling nervous but hopeful. Dr. Peterson greeted me warmly and led me to a comfortable chair. So, Mark, what brings you here today? I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. My wife, Elizabeth, has been having an affair with my best friend for the past 5 years. I just found out, and I don't know how to deal with it. Dr. Peterson nodded, her expression compassionate. That sounds incredibly painful. How are you feeling right now? Lost, angry, betrayed. I'm not even sure if I can trust anyone anymore. Those are all valid feelings, she said gently. It's important to acknowledge them. You're going through a major upheaval in your life, and it's natural to feel overwhelmed. Throughout the session, we talked about my feelings of betrayal and anger, about the love I still felt for Elizabeth, and the confusion that came with it all. Dr. Peterson helped me start to untangle the web of emotions and gave me strategies to cope with the immediate pain. As I left her office, I felt a sense of clarity beginning to emerge. I wasn't healed, not by a long shot, but I was starting to see a path forward, however faint. That evening, I sat down with Elizabeth. She looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. "Mark, how was your day?" "It was better," I admitted. "I talked to Matt and saw a therapist. I'm trying to sort through everything." She nodded, tears welling up again. "I'm glad you're getting help. I want to do whatever I can to support you, to make things right." "We're not there yet, Elizabeth," I said, holding up a hand. "But I think I'm ready to start trying to understand, to figure out if there's anything left to save." Her face crumpled with relief, and she reached out tentatively. This time I didn't pull away. It was a small step, but it was something. The days ahead would be tough, filled with difficult conversations and painful realizations. But for the first time since the revelation, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way through this storm together. In the weeks that followed, Elizabeth and I embarked on a fragile journey of healing and rebuilding. Each day brought its challenges and small victories as we navigated the aftermath of her betrayal. One of the hardest parts was learning to communicate again. We had spent so long avoiding difficult conversations that our ability to talk openly had almost disappeared. With the help of our therapist, we started having regular sessions together, where we learned to listen without interrupting and to express our feelings honestly. It wasn't easy. There were tears, anger, and moments of doubt. But slowly, we began to understand each other's perspectives better. Elizabeth shared more about her feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction in our marriage, while I confronted my shortcomings as a husband. One evening, as we sat on the couch after another therapy session, Elizabeth took my hand in hers. "Mark, I know I've hurt you deeply," she began, her voice wavering. "I hate myself for what I did, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn back your trust." I looked into her eyes, seeing the raw vulnerability there. "I want to believe you, Elizabeth. I want to believe that we can get through this." She nodded, squeezing my hand tighter. "I understand that it won't happen overnight. I'm committed to being patient, to proving to you every day that I'm sorry and that I love you." Over the coming weeks, Elizabeth showed her commitment not just in words but in actions. She became more transparent about her whereabouts, checking in with me more frequently throughout the day. She attended individual therapy sessions to work through her issues and understand why she had made such a devastating choice. For my part, I worked on letting go of the anger and resentment that had consumed me. It was a gradual process, learning to separate the person I loved from the pain she had caused. I leaned heavily on the support of my therapist and leaned into activities that brought me joy and peace, like hiking and spending time with friends who had stood by me through it all. One pivotal moment came during a weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains. Away from the distractions of daily life, Elizabeth and I found ourselves reconnecting on a deeper level. We talked about our dreams for the future, about the lessons we had learned from this painful experience, and about the strength of our bond despite everything. As the months passed, trust began to tentatively re-emerge between us. We still had moments of doubt and insecurity, but we faced them together with honesty and empathy. Elizabeth continued to demonstrate her commitment to our marriage, and I found myself slowly letting go of the fear of being hurt again. One evening, as we sat on our porch watching the sunset, Elizabeth turned to me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for giving me another chance, Mark," she whispered. "I know I don't deserve it, but I promise to spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I took her hand in mine, feeling a sense of peace settle over me. "We've both made mistakes, Elizabeth. But if we can learn from them and grow stronger together, maybe there's hope for us yet." She smiled a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "I believe there is." As we sat there watching the colors of the sunset blend into the horizon, I knew that our journey was far from over. Rebuilding trust would take time, patience, and forgiveness. But in that moment, surrounded by the quiet beauty of the evening, I felt a glimmer of hope for our future together. Months had passed since the revelation of Elizabeth's affair, and our marriage was slowly but steadily healing. The wounds were still tender, but we were making progress, day by day. One of the turning points came during a weekend trip to visit Elizabeth's parents. It was the first time we had been around extended family since everything came to light. I was nervous, unsure of how they would react or what they knew about our struggles. To my surprise, Elizabeth's parents welcomed me with open arms. They could see the pain in both of our eyes, but instead of judgment, they offered support and encouragement. Over dinners and walks in the park, we talked about life, forgiveness, and the challenges of marriage. Their acceptance gave me a sense of belonging and reinforced my determination to rebuild our relationship. Back at home, Elizabeth and I continued our therapy sessions. We delved deeper into the roots of our communication breakdowns and learned new ways to express our needs and concerns without fear of judgment or reprisal. It wasn't always easy to confront our vulnerabilities, but each session brought us closer together. One evening, as we sat down for dinner at our favorite restaurant, Elizabeth reached across the table and took my hand. "Mark, I want you to know how grateful I am for your forgiveness," she said softly. "I know I hurt you deeply, and I'll never forgive myself for that, but I'm committed to making things right, to being the wife you deserve." Her words touched me deeply, and I squeezed her hand in return. "I love you, Elizabeth," I said, my voice catching with emotion. "And I want us to have a future together, one built on honesty, trust, and understanding." As we finished our meal, we made plans for the future, small steps toward rebuilding our life together. We talked about taking a vacation, about redecorating the house, about starting a new hobby together. Each conversation felt like a reaffirmation of our commitment to moving forward. In the weeks and months that followed, we continued to focus on our individual growth and our relationship. We celebrated small victories and learned from setbacks. Elizabeth's dedication to rebuilding trust never wavered, and I found myself slowly letting go of the pain and anger that had once consumed me. One afternoon, while cleaning out the attic, I stumbled upon an old box of letters and mementos from our early years together. Among them was a faded photograph of us on our honeymoon, laughing together on a beach. I smiled as I remembered the joy and excitement we had felt back then, before life's challenges had taken their toll. That evening I showed Elizabeth the photograph, and we reminisced about our journey as a couple, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. It was a poignant reminder of the strength of our bond and how far we had come. As the days turned into weeks and then into years, our marriage continued to grow stronger. We faced new challenges together, with a newfound sense of resilience and gratitude. We never forgot the pain of the past, but we used it as a catalyst for growth and understanding. Looking back, I realized that our journey through infidelity had taught us valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and the importance of honest communication. It wasn't an easy road, but it was a journey worth taking. And as we stood together hand in hand, watching the sunset from our porch one evening, I knew that we had emerged from the darkness stronger and more united than ever before. Our future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. We were in it together, ready to face whatever challenges life threw our way. Years had passed since the tumultuous period of Elizabeth's affair and the subsequent healing process of our marriage. Our journey through pain and forgiveness had shaped us both individually and as a couple, and now we stood on the threshold of a new chapter in our lives. One of the most significant milestones came when we decided to renew our wedding vows. It was a decision we had discussed for months, a symbolic gesture to reaffirm our commitment to each other and to mark the journey we had traveled together. On a sunny afternoon in the presence of our closest friends and family, we stood hand in hand before our minister. The same minister who had married us years ago now guided us through our vows once more. The words felt weighty and profound as we promised to continue loving, supporting, and cherishing each other for the rest of our lives. Tears welled up in both of our eyes as we exchanged rings, symbols of our enduring love and the resilience of our bond. The ceremony was followed by a joyous celebration, filled with laughter, heartfelt speeches, and dancing late into the night. It was a reminder of the support and love that surrounded us, and of the strength we had found in each other. In the months that followed, we embraced new adventures and challenges together. We traveled to places we had always dreamed of visiting, creating new memories and deepening our connection. Elizabeth pursued her passion for painting, while I delved into a new career path that brought fulfillment and purpose to my life. Our communication had never been stronger. We continued to attend therapy sessions periodically, not because we felt broken, but because we valued the opportunity to check in with each other and ensure that our relationship remained a priority. There were moments of doubt and insecurity along the way, echoes of the past that occasionally resurfaced. But each time, we faced them head-on with honesty and compassion. We had learned that true forgiveness was not about forgetting the past, but about choosing to move forward together despite it. One evening, as we sat together on our porch, savoring the quiet beauty of the sunset, Elizabeth turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember when everything seemed so uncertain, Mark?" she asked softly. I nodded, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "I remember. It feels like a lifetime ago." "We've come a long way," she continued, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the fading sunlight. "I'm grateful for every moment, even the difficult ones. They've made us who we are today." I pressed a kiss to her forehead, overwhelmed with gratitude for the woman beside me and for the journey we had traveled together. "I wouldn't change a thing," I whispered. As we watched the stars begin to twinkle in the darkening sky, I felt a deep sense of peace settle over me. Our marriage had weathered the storm, emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. Our future was bright with possibilities, and I knew that as long as we faced it together, there was nothing we couldn't overcome. And so, hand in hand, we embraced the next chapter of our lives with hope, love, and a steadfast commitment to cherish each other every step of the way. As the years passed and our marriage continued to flourish, I found myself reflecting more and more on the journey we had taken from betrayal to renewal. It was a journey that tested our resilience, challenged our understanding of love and forgiveness, and ultimately strengthened the foundation of our relationship. One afternoon, while organizing old files in our home office, I came across the journal I had started during the darkest days of our marriage crisis. Flipping through its pages, I was transported back to a time of raw pain, confusion, and despair. But interspersed with those entries were moments of clarity, glimpses of hope, and the gradual emergence of healing. Reading through my own words, I saw how far I had come in understanding forgiveness. It wasn't about excusing Elizabeth's actions or pretending that the hurt didn't matter. Instead, it was a conscious choice to release the grip of resentment and anger that had threatened to consume me. Elizabeth and I had both grown individually as well. She had delved deeper into her passion for painting, creating vibrant works of art that spoke of her journey through introspection and renewal. Her artwork adorned the walls of our home, a testament to her resilience and creativity. For my part, I had found fulfillment in a new career path that aligned more closely with my passions and values. The challenges I faced in rebuilding trust with Elizabeth strengthened my resolve and honed my ability to navigate difficult situations with grace and patience. Our relationship had evolved too. We no longer took our love for granted, but nurtured it with intention and care. We made time for each other amidst our busy lives, whether it was a quiet evening at home, exploring new hobbies together, or traveling to far-off destinations that had once seemed out of reach. One evening, over a dinner of homemade pasta and wine, I shared my reflections with Elizabeth. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" I asked, swirling the wine in my glass. She smiled warmly, her eyes meeting mine with a depth of understanding that only comes from shared experiences. "All the time," she replied softly. "I never imagined we could rebuild what we had, but I'm grateful every day that we did." We talked late into the night, reminiscing about the challenges we had faced and the lessons we had learned along the way. We spoke of the importance of communication, of forgiveness, and of the profound strength that came from facing our struggles together. In the years that followed, we continued to cherish our renewed bond. We celebrated anniversaries with a sense of reverence for the commitment we had reaffirmed. We supported each other through life's inevitable ups and downs, knowing that our love had been tested and had emerged resilient. Looking back, I realized that forgiveness had been the cornerstone of our journey. It has allowed us to heal, to grow, and to embrace a future filled with hope and possibility. We had learned that forgiveness was not a one-time act, but a continuous practice of letting go and choosing love. As we stood together, hand in hand, watching the sunset from our porch once more, I felt a profound gratitude for the journey we had traveled and for the woman who had walked it by my side. Our story was not without its scars, but it was a story of redemption, of resilience, and of the enduring power of forgiveness. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, I knew that our love story was far from over. It was a story of forgiveness that had transformed pain into strength and had forged a bond that would withstand the test of time. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and hope, we embraced the future together, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them as partners, as allies, and as souls forever intertwined. In the quiet moments of reflection that followed, Elizabeth and I found ourselves contemplating not just our journey of forgiveness and renewal, but also how our experience could impact others. We had learned valuable lessons about love, trust, and resilience, and we felt a responsibility to share these lessons with those who might find themselves facing similar challenges. One of the ways we decided to do this was through volunteering at a local support group for couples dealing with infidelity. It was a daunting prospect at first, opening up about our struggles to strangers who were going through their pain. But we believed in the power of shared experiences and hoped that our story could offer hope and guidance to others. At our first meeting, we listened as couples shared their stories of betrayal, anger, and heartache. We nodded in understanding, knowing all too well the pain they were experiencing. When it was our turn to speak, we shared our journey honestly, the initial shock, the raw emotions, and the slow, steady path toward healing and forgiveness. There were tears in the room that evening, but there was also a sense of solidarity and hope. As we spoke, we saw glimmers of recognition and understanding in the eyes of those who listened. It was a reminder that we were not alone in our struggles and that there was strength in community and support. Over the coming months, we continued to volunteer at the support group, offering empathy, encouragement, and practical advice based on our own experiences. We talked about the importance of communication, seeking therapy, and taking the time to heal individually before trying to rebuild a relationship. Outside of the support group, we also became advocates for open and honest conversations about infidelity and forgiveness. We shared our stories in interviews, wrote articles for relationship blogs, and participated in panel discussions at local events. Our goal was not just to share our journey, but to encourage others to seek help and to believe that healing and reconciliation were possible. Through these efforts, we saw the impact our story had on others. Couples reached out to us for advice and support, sharing their own stories of struggle and resilience. Some found solace in knowing that forgiveness was a journey, not a destination, while others were inspired to seek therapy and work on rebuilding trust in their relationships. As time passed, Elizabeth and I continued to grow individually and as a couple. Our journey of forgiveness taught us the importance of honesty, vulnerability, and compassion. We had learned to appreciate each other's strengths and weaknesses, and to celebrate the moments of joy and connection that filled our lives. One evening, as we sat together on our porch, reflecting on the impact of our volunteer work, Elizabeth squeezed my hand affectionately. "I'm proud of how far we've come, Mark," she said softly. I smiled back at her, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the woman beside me and for the journey we had traveled together. "Me too," I replied, "and I'm grateful that we can use our experience to help others." As we watched the stars emerge in the evening sky, I knew that our journey of forgiveness and renewal was far from over. But with each passing day, we grew stronger, more resilient, and more committed to living a life filled with love, understanding, and grace. Through it all, we continued to pass on the lessons we had learned, knowing that our story could inspire hope and healing in others. As Elizabeth and I continued to share our stories and support others on their journey through forgiveness and healing, we also found ourselves looking toward the future with renewed optimism and excitement. Our experiences deepened our appreciation for each other and strengthened our commitment to living a life filled with purpose and love. One of the ways we decided to embrace the future was by renewing our focus on personal growth and adventure. We embarked on new challenges together, whether it was exploring new hobbies, traveling to distant lands, or simply savoring quiet moments of joy in our everyday lives. One particularly memorable adventure was a hiking trip to the rugged mountains of Colorado. Surrounded by towering peaks and breathtaking vistas, we found solace and renewal in nature's beauty. We hiked for miles, pushing ourselves physically and mentally, but also taking the time to pause and reflect on the journey we had traveled together. During our hikes, We talked about our dreams and aspirations for the future. Elizabeth expressed a desire to expand her artistry and explore new mediums, while I spoke about my plans to mentor young professionals and give back to my community. Back at home, we continued to prioritize our relationship, carving out time for date nights, long walks, and meaningful conversations. We knew that maintaining open communication and nurturing our connection was essential to sustaining the growth we had achieved. Another significant step we took was to attend a marriage retreat focused on renewal and intimacy. Surrounded by other couples committed to strengthening their relationships, we participated in workshops and discussions that deepened our understanding of each other's needs and desires. One evening, during a session on forgiveness and trust building, I found myself reflecting on our journey. I shared with the group how forgiveness had transformed our marriage and how it had allowed us to rebuild trust and rediscover the joy of being together. Elizabeth spoke passionately about the importance of honesty and vulnerability in maintaining a strong partnership. "It's not always easy," she admitted, her voice steady with conviction, "but the rewards of opening up to each other and truly listening are immeasurable." As we listened to other couples share their struggles and triumphs, I felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons we had learned and for the opportunity to support others on their path to healing. In the months and years that followed, Elizabeth and I continued to grow individually and as a couple. We faced new challenges with resilience and grace, knowing that our journey through forgiveness had equipped us with the tools to navigate life's ups and downs. We remained active in our community, volunteering our time and resources to support organizations that promoted healthy relationships and mental well-being. Our shared experiences inspired us to give back, to pay forward the kindness and support we had received along our journey. One evening, as we sat together on our porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, Elizabeth turned to me with a smile. "I'm so grateful for our life together, Mark," she said softly, "for the love we share and for the strength we've found in each other." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over me. "Me too, Elizabeth. Our journey hasn't been easy, but it's been worth every moment." As we held hands and watched the stars begin to twinkle in the night sky, I knew that our future was bright with possibility. Together we faced adversity and emerged stronger. As we embraced the future with hope and gratitude, I knew that our journey of forgiveness and renewal would continue to shape our lives for years to come. As Elizabeth and I entered the next phase of our lives together, we began to contemplate the legacy we wanted to leave behind. A legacy shaped by our journey of love, forgiveness, and resilience. One of the ways we decided to honor this legacy was by documenting our story in a memoir. We spent countless evenings recounting our experiences, revisiting the highs and lows of our marriage, and reflecting on the lessons we had learned along the way. Writing the memoir was a cathartic process for both of us. It allowed us to delve deeper into our emotions and memories, to celebrate our triumphs, and to acknowledge the challenges we had faced. We hoped that sharing our story would inspire others to believe in the power of forgiveness and to find hope in their relationships. When the memoir was published, we were overwhelmed by the response from readers who reached out to share their own stories of resilience and renewal. Many expressed gratitude for our honesty and vulnerability, and some even credited our story with giving them the courage to seek counseling and work on their marriages. Inspired by the impact of our memoir, we decided to establish a foundation dedicated to supporting couples navigating infidelity and rebuilding trust. The foundation provided resources, counseling scholarships, and retreat opportunities for couples committed to healing and strengthening their relationships. One of the foundation's most impactful initiatives was a retreat for couples affected by infidelity. Held in a serene mountain retreat center, the retreat offered workshops on communication, forgiveness, and intimacy. Elizabeth and I volunteered as mentors, sharing our journey and offering guidance to participants as they navigated their paths toward healing. Through our work with the foundation, we witnessed firsthand the transformative power of forgiveness and the resilience of love. Couples who arrived broken and weary left with renewed hope, strengthened bonds, and a shared commitment to building a future together. In addition to our foundation work, Elizabeth continued to expand her artistic pursuits, using her talent to create pieces that explored themes of forgiveness, redemption, and the beauty of second chances. Her artwork resonated with audiences around the world, inspiring conversations about healing and personal growth. Meanwhile, I found fulfillment in mentoring young professionals and advocating for mental health awareness in our community. I spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and volunteered with organizations dedicated to supporting individuals and families facing challenges similar to our own. As we approached our golden wedding anniversary, Elizabeth and I celebrated not just the longevity of our marriage, but the depth of our connection and the impact of our shared journey. We hosted a gathering of friends, family, and supporters of our foundation, reflecting on the milestones we had reached and the lives we had touched along the way. Looking back on our journey of love and forgiveness, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the woman who had walked beside me through it all. Elizabeth had been my rock, my partner in healing, and my inspiration to live with courage and compassion. One evening, as we sat together on our porch, watching the sunset cast a golden glow over the horizon, Elizabeth leaned her head against my shoulder. "Do you remember when forgiveness felt impossible?" she asked softly. I nodded, gently squeezing her hand. "I do, but look how far we've come." "We've built something beautiful out of the ashes," she mused, her voice filled with awe. As we sat in companionable silence, surrounded by the love and warmth of our shared life, I knew that our legacy of love and forgiveness would endure long after we were gone. Our story had become a testament to the power of forgiveness, the resilience of the human spirit, and the transformative nature of love. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I felt a deep sense of peace knowing that our journey had not only shaped our lives, but had left a legacy of hope and healing for generations to come. As Elizabeth and I entered the twilight years of our lives, we found ourselves reflecting on the journey that had brought us to this point, a journey marked by love, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of our bond. One of the most profound realizations we had was how forgiveness had not only healed our marriage, but also enriched our individual lives. It has taught us empathy, resilience, and the importance of embracing each moment with gratitude and love. We spent our days cherishing simple pleasures, morning walks hand in hand, shared meals filled with laughter and stories, and quiet evenings by the fire. We had learned to appreciate the beauty of everyday moments, knowing that each one was a gift we had fought for and earned. Our family had grown over the years, with children and grandchildren who brought joy and laughter into our home. We shared our stories with them, imparting the lessons we had learned about love, forgiveness, and the importance of nurturing relationships. One of the most meaningful traditions we established was a yearly family gathering where we shared our journey of forgiveness with our children and grandchildren. We spoke openly about the challenges we had faced and the strength we had found in each other. It was a time of reflection and celebration, a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness to heal and transform. As we looked back on our decades together, we marveled at how our love had deepened and matured. We had weathered storms that had threatened to tear us apart, but each challenge had only strengthened our commitment to each other. One evening, as we sat together on our porch, watching the sunset over the horizon, Elizabeth took my hand in hers. "Thank you for loving me through it all, Mark," she said softly. I smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Thank you for teaching me the true meaning of forgiveness." We sat in companionable silence, enveloped in the warmth of our love and the beauty of the evening. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, I knew that our journey of forgiveness had shaped not only our marriage, but our entire lives. In our twilight years, we continued to cherish each other, grateful for the love that had sustained us through the highs and lows of life. Our story had become a testament to the power of forgiveness, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring strength of love. And as we faced the future together, hand in hand, I knew that our journey was far from over. With each passing day, we continued to embrace life with joy and gratitude, knowing that our love and forgiveness would guide us through whatever challenges lay ahead. As Elizabeth and I navigated the final chapter of our lives together, we knew that our time was drawing near. We faced this reality with a mix of acceptance and gratitude, reflecting on the rich tapestry of experiences that had defined our journey. One of the most poignant moments came during a visit to our favorite beach, the place where we had shared countless memories of love and laughter. We sat together in the sand, holding hands and watching the waves crash against the shore. "Remember when we first came here?" Elizabeth murmured. her voice tinged with nostalgia. I nodded, a smile tugging at the corners of my lips. It feels like a lifetime ago. We reminisced about our early years together, the dreams we had shared, and the obstacles we had overcome. We spoke of the moments that had brought us joy and the challenges that had tested our resolve. Through it all, our love had remained constant, a beacon of light that had guided us through the darkest of times. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, we knew that our time together was precious and fleeting. We spoke openly about our hopes and fears, our regrets, and our dreams for the future. I have no regrets, Elizabeth, I whispered, squeezing her hand gently. Our journey together has been more than I could have ever hoped for. She nodded, tears shimmering in her eyes. I feel the same, Mark. We've lived a lifetime in these years. In the days that followed, we made arrangements for our final farewell, a celebration of life that would honor the love and forgiveness that had defined our marriage. We invited friends and family to join us in remembering the moments that had shaped us, the lessons we had learned, and the legacy we hoped to leave behind. During the celebration, our children and grandchildren gathered around us, sharing stories and laughter as they toasted to a life well lived. We spoke of the importance of love, forgiveness, and cherishing every moment with those we hold dear. As the evening drew to a close, Elizabeth and I sat together once more on our porch, surrounded by the love and warmth of our family. We watched the stars twinkle in the night sky, a reminder of the countless moments of joy and beauty we had shared. "Thank you for loving me," Elizabeth whispered, her voice barely a whisper in the stillness of the night. I kissed her forehead gently, holding her close. "Thank you for teaching me how to forgive." And as the dawn broke on our final morning together, we faced the future with hearts full of gratitude and love. Our journey had come full circle, a testament to the enduring power of forgiveness, resilience, and the beauty of a life shared in love. In the wake of Elizabeth's passing, I found myself navigating a new chapter of life, a chapter filled with both profound loss and enduring gratitude for the love we had shared. As I sorted through photographs and cherished mementos, memories of our journey together flooded my heart and mind. One of the most comforting rituals I adopted was revisiting the places that held special meaning for Elizabeth and me. From our favorite coffee shop, where we had shared countless conversations, to the park bench where we had watched our grandchildren play, each location held a piece of our story. One afternoon, I found myself drawn to the quiet solitude of our garden, a sanctuary Elizabeth had lovingly tended to over the years. Surrounded by blossoming flowers and the gentle rustling of leaves, I reflected on the beauty of a life well lived and the legacy of love and forgiveness we had cultivated together. In the weeks that followed, friends and family rallied around me, offering comfort and support as I navigated the depths of grief. They shared stories of Elizabeth's kindness, strength, and unwavering faith, a testament to the impact she had made on those around her. One particularly poignant moment came during a gathering of loved ones, where we celebrated Elizabeth's life with laughter, tears, and heartfelt reminiscences. Together, we shared memories of her infectious laughter, her passion for painting, and her unwavering devotion to our family. As I continued to honor Elizabeth's memory, I found solace in the rituals and traditions we had shared. I spent quiet mornings reading her favorite books, surrounded by the familiar comfort of our home. I cherished evenings spent listening to our favorite music, finding peace in the melodies that had echoed through our lives together. One day, while organizing Elizabeth's belongings, I came across a journal she had kept, a testament to her innermost thoughts, dreams, and aspirations. Flipping through its pages, I discovered entries filled with reflections on our journey together, expressions of gratitude for our love, and hopes for the future. Reading her words brought a sense of closeness and connection, a reminder that even in her absence, Elizabeth's spirit continued to guide and inspire me. Her legacy of love and forgiveness lived on in the memories we had created, the lessons we had learned, and the values we had shared. In the months that followed, I found myself drawn to the foundation we had established together, the foundation dedicated to supporting couples navigating challenges similar to those we had faced. Inspired by Elizabeth's unwavering belief in the power of forgiveness, I became more involved in mentoring and guiding others on their paths toward healing and renewal. Through my work with the foundation, I witnessed firsthand the transformative power of love and forgiveness, a power that transcended grief and loss, offering hope and healing to those in need. Elizabeth's legacy continued to inspire me, guiding my actions and shaping my commitment to helping others find solace and strength in their journeys. As I sat alone on our porch one evening, watching the sunset over the horizon, I felt Elizabeth's presence beside me, a comforting reminder that our love transcended time and space. The stars twinkled in the darkening sky, a reflection of the countless moments of joy and beauty we had shared. "Thank you, Elizabeth," I whispered into the evening breeze, "for teaching me the true meaning of forgiveness and for the love that continues to light my way." As I faced the future with a heart filled with gratitude and love, I knew that Elizabeth's spirit would forever be a part of me, a guiding light, a source of strength, and a reminder of the enduring power of love and forgiveness. I found myself at a crossroads, grappling with emotions that tugged at my heartstrings and challenged my sense of commitment. Thoughts of divorce lingered in my mind, a weighty consideration that I dared not rush. Elizabeth had been my love, my partner through a tapestry of cherished memories. In the quiet moments, I often revisited our journey together, the laughter, the adventures, the quiet evenings of shared dreams. Each memory etched in my mind reminded me of the depth of our bond and the love that had once flourished between us. Yet amidst the nostalgia, there was an undeniable truth. Our journey had also been marked by pain, by moments of doubt and betrayal that lingered like shadows in the corners of my mind. The discovery of Elizabeth's infidelity had shaken the foundation of our marriage, challenging the trust and intimacy we had painstakingly rebuilt. I spent evenings on our porch, watching the stars blink into existence above, searching for clarity amidst the quiet solitude. It was during one of these contemplative evenings that I allowed myself to acknowledge the stirring turmoil within, the longing for resolution, for a path forward that honored both the love we had shared and the wounds that had scarred it. In the days that followed, I sought solace in conversations with trusted friends and sought guidance from professionals who specialized in navigating the complexities of relationships. Each discussion offered perspectives that weighed heavily on my heart, urging me to consider the implications of every choice I could make. As I reflected on the years spent alongside Elizabeth, I found myself grappling with the dichotomy of love and betrayal. How could one navigate the treacherous waters of forgiveness when the scars of infidelity cut so deep? The decision to seek counseling, both individually and jointly, became a pivotal step towards clarity. Together, we addressed the fractured trust and the underlying wounds that had festered beneath the surface. It was a process that demanded vulnerability and courage, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths and navigate the complexities of our shared history. In the moments of quiet introspection that followed, I found myself grappling with a question that lingered in the depths of my heart. Could forgiveness pave a path forward, or had the fractures in our marriage become irreparable? As I pondered the weight of this question, I was reminded of the love that had once flourished between us, the moments of tenderness, the shared dreams, the unwavering support in times of adversity. It was this love that anchored me amidst the storm of uncertainty, guiding me toward a decision that honored the depth of our shared history and the complexities of our journey together. And so, with a heart heavy with both sorrow and hope, I made a decision to tread carefully, honor the love we had shared, and navigate the uncertain waters of forgiveness with patience and grace. As I sat on our porch once more, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I allowed myself to envision a future that held the echoes of our past. A future where healing and renewal could coexist alongside the scars of betrayal. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I found solace in the belief that love, in all its complexities, had the power to shape our journey forward. Elizabeth and I decided to seek help from a family psychologist. We hoped that understanding what went wrong could lead us towards repairing everything. The first session was filled with apprehension and anticipation. Sitting across from each other in the psychologist's office, we felt like fragile figures in a world where the rules had suddenly shifted. The psychologist greeted us warmly yet professionally, inviting us to share our reasons for seeking counseling. "Tell me about what brought you here," he began, his tone empathetic and understanding. Elizabeth and I took turns expressing our feelings and concerns. We spoke openly about how the discovery of infidelity had derailed us and how our marriage had endured a trial but remained at risk. We shared our fears and hopes, grappling with what forgiveness meant to each of us. The psychologist listened attentively, asking probing questions that guided our conversation toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. He helped us unravel hidden feelings and untangle the complexities of our relationship. With each subsequent session, we gained insights into our dynamics and the underlying issues that had strained our marriage. We learned to view our situation from different perspectives, opening our hearts to honest communication and rebuilding trust. Through various therapeutic exercises and techniques, we developed strategies to improve our communication, set healthy boundaries, and resolve conflicts constructively. It wasn't about finding easy answers or fixing everything overnight, but about laying the groundwork for healing and growth. Months into therapy, we felt a significant shift in our relationship. We both realized there was still much work ahead, but we had gained the tools and understanding to move forward together. As we concluded our last session before the holiday break, the psychologist reminded us, forgiveness doesn't always mean forgetting or excusing what happened. It means releasing yourself from anger and disappointment to rebuild your relationship on a new foundation of understanding and respect. In this newfound understanding of forgiveness and in our bold decision to seek help, we found hope for the future of our marriage. Embarking on therapy marked a significant turning point for Elizabeth and me. It was a journey filled with trepidation and hope as we navigated the intricate landscape of our emotions and relationships. The initial sessions were daunting yet necessary. We sat face to face in the therapist's office, unsure of where to begin but committed to unraveling the complexities that had strained our marriage. With gentle guidance from our therapist, we started delving into the deep reservoirs of our feelings. "It's not easy, but we must talk about our feelings," Elizabeth murmured, her voice tinged with vulnerability. I nodded in agreement, my heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words and unresolved emotions. We spoke about the hurt and betrayal, the moments of doubt and confusion that had clouded our bond. It was a raw and honest exchange, laying bare the wounds that had festered beneath the surface. Our therapist provided a safe space for us to express ourselves without judgment, facilitating conversations that unearthed buried truths and facilitated healing. We explored the impact of the infidelity on our trust and intimacy, acknowledging the work needed to rebuild what had been fractured. In the weeks that followed, we engaged in exercises designed to improve our communication and foster empathy. We practiced active listening, striving to understand each other's perspectives without interruption or defensiveness. These small steps towards openness and understanding laid the groundwork for rebuilding the connection that had once anchored us. As we navigated the complexities of therapy, we began to recognize the resilience of our love amidst the turmoil. We found solace in the shared commitment to healing and the courage to confront our vulnerabilities together. "It's hard work, but I believe we're moving in the right direction," I confessed to Elizabeth one evening as we sat on our porch, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of blooming flowers. She nodded, a soft smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "I agree. We're finally facing our issues instead of sweeping them under the rug." With each session, we gained new insights and tools to navigate the challenges ahead. We learned to set boundaries that honored our individual needs while nurturing the collective bond that defined our marriage. It was a process of rediscovery, of unearthing the strengths and values that had initially drawn us together. Through therapy, we began to envision a future where forgiveness and healing could pave the way for renewed trust and intimacy. It was a journey that required patience and perseverance, but we were determined to take the first steps towards restoration, guided by the hope that our love could transcend the scars of the past. As we continued our sessions with renewed commitment, we embraced the uncertainty of the journey ahead, knowing that each step brought us closer to the possibility of a stronger, more resilient marriage. Several months had passed since we began therapy, and the journey had transformed both Elizabeth and me. We had traversed through tumultuous emotions, confronting our deepest fears and vulnerabilities. As we stood at this crossroads, uncertainty hung heavy in the air, yet there was a glimmer of hope. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully forgive her," I confessed quietly, the weight of my words echoing in the stillness of our home. Elizabeth listened attentively, her own emotions mirroring mine. She reached out, taking my hand in hers, her eyes reflecting a mix of remorse and determination. "I understand. I'm grateful for this chance to make things right, to rebuild what we've lost." Our decision to give our relationship another chance was fraught with complexities and uncertainties. We both acknowledged the wounds that still lingered, the scars of betrayal that had etched themselves into the fabric of our marriage. Yet, amidst the pain, there was a shared commitment to healing and reconciliation. Therapy has provided us with tools to navigate our differences and communicate more openly. We had learned to listen to each other with empathy, to validate our feelings without judgment. These newfound skills were the bedrock upon which we hoped to rebuild trust and intimacy. As we embarked on this new chapter, we were acutely aware of the challenges ahead. It would take time, patience, and unwavering dedication to mend what had been broken. We braced ourselves for moments of doubt and setbacks, knowing that the path to healing was seldom linear. Yet there was also a sense of optimism, a belief that our love was resilient enough to withstand the trials that lay ahead. We sought solace in the shared memories that had once bound us together, and in the hope that forgiveness, though elusive, could eventually find its place in our hearts. In the quiet moments that followed, we committed ourselves to nurturing our relationship with intention and compassion. We embraced the opportunity to redefine our partnership, to honor the lessons learned and the growth achieved through adversity. "Time will tell what comes of this," Elizabeth murmured, her voice filled with quiet resolve. "But I believe in us. I believe in our capacity to heal and to forge a future built on trust and mutual respect."